We're looking at Christian Guitar Book. This is introduction number 3, pages 9 through 11. We're going to talk a little bit about reading music in the staff. And on page 9 you have that. In the staff you have lines and spaces, and they're named for you in the middle of the page. Each of those notes corresponds to a note on the piano. Each of those notes corresponds to a note on the guitar. So just so you know, the guitar can play down below the lowest E on the bottom line. That E, let me get the guitar here and a pick. That E is right here. That's that E. So we can go from E to D to C to B to A to G to F to E. So that's below. And on the top end, they're stopping at F, and we can go up to G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. We can go on up. So that's just for your information. We're not actually playing melodies in this song, so the reading of the music is not the main focus. We have Fast Track for Guitar number 1. That deals primarily with learning to read music in the musical staff. And I'll put that in the video. Fast Track Guitar Book 1, and that'll help with that if you want to learn to play the melodies. Okay, so let's talk about sharps and flats. So if we were to look at that E, the lowest note that they have on the staff, that is our E in the staff. If we were to drop it down, that would be an E flat. I went down 1 fret from the E to E flat. So we go back to E, and if I raise it 1, normally we would say that would be E sharp. But if you've ever looked at a piano, there are 2 places in the 12 semitones where there are no black keys. There's no half step between, and this is one of the 2, E to F. So an E sharp is an F. So let's go to F. Now if I raise that, that's an F sharp, and then I go 1 more fret, that's a G. Now if I were playing G, now it would be an F sharp, but it can also be called a G flat. F sharp, G flat. That's called enharmonic. That is the same note, and depending what key you're in, sharps or flats, it's whether you'd say F sharp or E flat. Of course, if you're in a flat key, that's an E flat. If you're in a sharp key, G is a sharp key, it's an F sharp. Normally I play in G, D, and C. Those are my 3 main keys that I play in. And so that's 2 sharp keys, G and D, and a flat key with no flats. Because in the key of C there are no flats, but I consider that a flat key. I could be wrong there. But anyway, here we go. All right, so we've talked about that. Let's talk about accidentals. An accidental is like if I'm playing in the key of C and I'm normally playing an F, and for some reason the melody moves to something where it's an F sharp or a C sharp note in the melody, that's called an accidental. That normally doesn't happen, but it can because it's an accidental. It's not that the composer made a mistake in an accident, it's that that's what it's termed when you embellish a note in a given key that note is normally not in the scale of that key. Okie dokie, let's turn the page. Page number 10 got a great, this is probably some of the best stuff I've ever seen in explaining it. So let's look at this top part, these measures. So we're going to go over it. The first thing you see at the left is the clef sign, the squiggly squiggle. That's the G clef. That's the treble clef. That's where the guitar plays. The next thing you see, 4 over a 4. That is called the time signature. 4 over 4, 4/4 time, or common time. The top note, the top number tells you how many beats in the measure. And so in this line of music, there are 4 beats in the measure. And of course, we would count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. It just keeps going. The bottom number 4, whatever that number is in a time signature, put a 1 over it, and that's the type of note that gets a beat. So in 4/4, I take the top 4 out and put a 1, so now I've got 1 over 4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. So I'm going to be dealing with quarter notes. So each quarter note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, gets the beat. And then they're showing us what a measure is. It begins at the time signature to the first measure line or bar line, and then from then on, from the bar line to the next bar line, that is a measure from that bar line forward. You'll also see a double bar line. This happens a lot when you're going from, say, the verse of a song in written music and you're going to the chorus. It just lets you know something different is coming. Another thing that would happen, and you'll see this, they do this in bluegrass a lot. They don't just go through a song. It's called a AABB, AABB, AABB. They go back and forth, and it's not always, symmetrical, as in 2 of these, 2 of those. It can be 1 of those, 2 of these, that kind of thing. So that's another place we might put these 2 bars and put an A of the first one. Next time, put the double bars and put a B. It just lets us know in a piece of music where we are. That's pretty good. All right. The last thing you see is what I call the fat line, skinny line. This is the end. Finito, fine, terminal bar line is what they're calling it. Terminal, terminated, done, finished. Listen to the applause. The song is complete. So that lets you know that the song is finished. Excelente. All right, so now let's look at the notes, and that's down below it. First we have a whole note, and in 4/4 time, they didn't put any time, but I'm guessing we're in 4/4 time. That whole note takes up the whole 4 beats. So we strike it on 1 and we let it ring. 1. That was 2, 3, 4. 1. Like that, okay? Now the half note, they should have put 2, but they only put 1. A half note gets 2 beats. So if we were to put 2 half notes in a measure of 4/4 time, the first one is struck on 1, rings through 2. The second half note is struck on 3, rings through 4. Ba, 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 ba. Great. Okay. And then our wonderful quarter note. Boink, 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 boink. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, what happens with the eighth note is it doubles the quarter notes. It takes 2 eighth notes to make 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And let's slow it down. 1, 2. These are the quarter notes. Here comes the half notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Fantastic. That really comes in handy, like for learning a melody, you don't know the song, where the introduction starts, on the beat, which beat. Now, on page 11, what they've done is they've just gone ahead and given us a very good view of what a whole note rest looks like, a half note rest looks like, a quarter note rest looks like, an eighth note rest looks like. Because in music, it's not constant sound all the time. The melody doesn't just hum through the whole thing. There's breaks, breath, space, time. Same way with playing. We don't play every beat under the sun. So you can look at that, and then that will help you know what you'll see most in what we're doing. Most would be the quarter rest and the eighth rest for the melodies. The only time we would see half is when maybe we're ending the verse, getting ready to go in the chorus. The only time we'd see the whole is if it's just an instrumental part, maybe for 4 measures. There's no singing, so we're strumming the accompaniment, but nothing else is happening. No notes on the piano, no fiddle, no nothing, just us with the rhythm, and then something happens. Ties and dots, baby. Ties and dots. In sports, it's feet and hands, but in music, it's ties and dots, ties and dots. Okay, so the tie, when I do one quarter note and I tie it to another quarter note, what that does is it combines the value of those 2 quarter notes together. So the example that they have, track number 8, they're tying beat 2 quarter note to beat 3. So they could have put a half note there, but they want to show you a tie. We're going to strike it on 2, let it ring through 3. So on that measure, we would play beat 1, bonk. Then we would play beat 2 and let it ring through 3, bonk. And then beat 4, bonk. So it sounds like this, bonk, 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 bonk. That's a tie. My favorite is the dot. Ties and dots, but dots. When you put a dot to the right side of a note, you're adding to that original note half of the value of the original note. So if we had a quarter note with a dot, that note is not only going to get a whole beat, it's going to ring out for the first part of beat number 2. And their example is then they're coming on beat 3 and the and of 3. And then, the and of 2. Beat 1 and of 2 going to 3 half note. Let me just hum it to you. So the first, let me do both measures together. 1, 2, here I go. Bop, 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 bop. So that second measure, I'm striking or playing 1 and 3. Ba, 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 ba. Yeah. And the last thing we want to talk about is tempo. Tempo is speed. When we practice, whatever the speed is of the track, is they've selected that. But with our multiplayer plus, playback plus, we can change that tempo, that speed, and bring it down for practicing. And of course, I highly recommend that. Okie dokie. So this has been introduction number 3 for Christian Guitar Book. And I'll send you all 3 of these, and I hope you'll watch them. It will do you good, because if we don't use them today, we will use them in the future. All right. May the rest of your day go well. Be sensitive to the voice of God.